It's going gonzo.
How do you feel about it, John?
I feel interesting about it because I grew up on analog, as young as I am, but we're going digital.
Hi, this is Di, and I wanted to tell you about what was going on with our sound equipment at the church where I serve. I am a mom who plays bass, and this building that we are in front of, it's very glary light, but this building is the worship center. That was my mom. And it was built in the early 2000s, and when it was built, the sound system they put in was an analog system, which meant that, you know, it was made out of hard wiring and tubes and all those old school things. Oh no!
It's going gonzo.
How do you feel about it, John?
I feel interesting about it because I grew up on analog, as young as I am, but we're going digital. So it's gonna be good.
I hear you're gonna be able to make adjustments while sitting in your seat holding an iPad.
That's what I'm most excited about, is that I can just walk the room. I can be checking my fantasy scores and then just flip on over to channel 8 and turn it down. It's gonna be great.
That's
perfect.
The worst part for us, because when I turn around to give you a dirty look because it's wrong, you won't see me because I won't know where you are in the room.
Exactly. I'll be up in the balcony hanging out, eating plantain chips.
How many channels is this?
This is 48, and the Digico is also 48, but it's going to be probably this long.
Yeah.
So that's going to be nice too, not having to
well, that'll make more room up here.
do the waltz just to change.
Holy cow. It's going to be a big change.
Big change.
Our monitors in the analog system were wedges, which are a speaker that points back at us. And every musician on stage had their own wedge with their own mix in it. Over the years, as time has gone on, they've bought more and more packs, and more of the musicians had in-ear monitors, which are an expensive set of headphones. And they were able to go to a wireless pack and then hear what they would have heard down in the wedge, but in the wireless pack, in the in-ear monitors. It had gotten where the stage was actually completely silent. There were no amplifiers on the stage. Our guitarists were isolated. Their amps were backstage. They were stolen several times. So then they were backstage in a locked cabinet. Yep, you know people steal while you're playing. But anyway,
they'll steal at church.
They'll steal at church, and they'll steal while you're on stage. You're playing along and you suddenly don't hear anything. That's your amp leaving. But anyway, they'll steal the in-ear monitors out of your car. They will take whatever they can. So they'd bought these packs, and we all had wireless packs. The problem being with time and with the technology, packs get broken, they get dropped. I have not dropped one in the toilet. I've been afraid I was going to the bathroom between sets, but I have not dropped one in the toilet. But packs get broken, so then people ended up back on wedges. First person to go back on a wedge is the bass player, because they assume that you can't hear what you need to hear in the headphones because they don't have a big speaker in them to play bass. So they're like, we'll put you on the wedge because then you can just hear better. And we had preference. We had one singer, Paul, who preferred to be in a wedge. He didn't feel like he could hear the other people worshiping when he had these headphones blocking out the sound. At that time, when we ran a sound check for monitors, that sound for the monitors was run through a monitor board that was up in a crow's nest off the side of the stage. So way up high, you would see this crow's nest, and you would kind of trying to be hollering at the gentleman up in the crow's nest to make the adjustments to your monitors. And so that worked really well in the early 2000s. We had a sound man named Steve Dooley, who I've told you about. There's a video about him. And he had a knack for like memorizing settings. So we would come in and you would hear a mix in your monitor, and it would be the mix that each musician preferred because he just memorized it. And so when you got there, oh, that's what I'm used to hearing, great. And so that served us for a while until after the passing of Steve Dooley. Then new sound people came in, and we had to develop like an entire system to run sound check, because previously everybody just played and you said, that sounds great, Steve, can I get a little more vocals? And you moved on. Not everyone can memorize everybody's settings, like Steve Dooley. So what we ended up doing was developing a system, which I think some other churches and other settings use. We would start with drums first, and each musician would give the saying, or less, that they wanted less of each sound. And of course the drums have several sections, so you'd be on them for a while. Kick, toms, overheads, snare, hi-hat, then to bass, then to the different guitars, the keyboards, and then each vocalist one by one, and doing this on what we want. It worked pretty well until they hung a screen in front of the crow's nest, and so then the person running monitors couldn't even see our hand signals, so they had to turn a camera on in order to do sound check, and we were doing all of this. And we have a new worship director. She came in and stood there for 40 minutes while we did this before we could even rehearse, and she called it, we were gonna have to go digital. And so that's when they decided to order us a new soundboard, but they also gave us personalized monitors. So there is no soundboard in the crow's nest, and there is no person up in the crow's nest. Now, all those mixes, everything for the drums and the keyboards and the microphones, all comes into a personal monitor that stands next to us. So every person has their personal monitor. Some of us are hardwired in, some people have packs. The people who need to move around more are on a pack that is wireless. So now there are these personal monitors, and we can make our own adjustments. So I can click a button and bring up the kick drum. I can bring up the hi-hat, not the snare. I don't want to hear more snare. I can bring up the hi-hat. I can make whatever adjustments I want in my personal monitor, and so it makes sound checking a lot quicker because we can run a song. I'm making adjustments. All the musicians are making adjustments, and we are able to make our own mix in our ears. Now we each have the headphones. They're called in-ear monitors, or ears as we call them. So we're all on ears now, every single person. Some on a wireless pack, some just plugged in with a cord to the personal monitor. Now, we also are on a digital board. We went from our 48 channel Allen Heath analog mixing board. There was one in the sound system and one up in that crow's nest for the monitors. I actually heard one of our sound guys trying to adjust. He was adjusting the wrong one, which happens all the time when you're trying to adjust monitors like that. And he just goes, "There's so many knobs." Yes, there are a lot of knobs on a 48 channel mixing board. Now we have a digital board in the sound system, which you'll be able to see, which also allows us to save the mix. So once the front of the house figures out exactly how everything should sound at rehearsal, they can save that mix and go back to that preset when they get there and not have to reset front of the house. It's not unusual for us to rehearse on a Wednesday, let's say, and to have two more groups, a Thursday group, a Friday group, and then Sunday have to put everything back to the rehearsal specs. So that's why you want a digital monitor that you can just set it and go back to that setting. So those personal monitors that we have also have that option where you can set it for your personal mix, so that when I rehearse on Wednesday and I go home and I come back on Sunday, I push mix number 4, let's say, and it says my initials, and I know it's my mix, and I just hit that, and then I go right back to all of my presets. So I don't have to start over again from scratch. The whole thing is to speed up our rehearsal times so that we can get to rehearsing the music we're going to play instead of spending all of our time on sound check. So thank you so much for watching. Oh wait, my mom's here. She has something to say too. See, I made her stand here so I could explain it in English instead of musician speak.
To somebody who doesn't speak musician.
I tried.
I'm the stand-in non-musician.
She nodded in appropriate places. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.
God bless.